Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment, here to release yet another 2023 NFL mock draft. Here we are now just over 2 weeks away from the 2023 NFL draft, so I figured what a time then for me to go ahead and post another full first round mock. And then I'm planning on next week for it being 2 rounds, so make sure you stick around and subscribe for that new mock draft next week. So with that said, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's look at my updated 2023 NFL mock draft. And this does include trades. Now, there's only really one trade that I included for this mock because it's the trade that we're all talking about. I'm very conservative when it comes to mocking trades because you're probably not going to get it right. But right now, we can go ahead and pretty much assume, and even this isn't 100%, I don't even know if it's even 60%, but we are getting the feeling that the Arizona Cardinals are looking to move from the number 3 overall pick. They're looking to move down for a team that is looking to move up for a quarterback. This is the current sentiment that is going around the league. This is the current rumor that is floating around the league. So, as of this moment, I actually have the Colts being the team trading with the Arizona Cardinals, only moving up one spot, but because the Colts are getting in a position where, and they've already said this, they've already kind of put themselves in a tough position. They've come out and said that they want to leave this 2023 NFL draft with the quarterback. So they really cannot afford to have to take the 4th quarterback off the board unless they're really in love with all 4 quarterbacks, which could potentially be the case. But more likely than not, they would be interested in securing a quarterback of their choice. Now, it's too late for them to move up to number 1. The Texans would probably not, trade with them at number 2. So I have the Colts right now trading up to number 3 and taking a quarterback in Anthony Richardson. Now, the fit to me here would be interesting. I think Shane Steichen, though, would be able to do a good job with him as he was able to do a good job with Jalen Hurts. I just don't know why I have a hard time seeing Anthony Richardson in a Colts jersey just empirically. I don't know why. That image to me is just strange. But right now, that's what I have happening. Will Levis seems like much more the prototypical Colts quarterback in terms of look and feel. But hey, maybe they're going to go a little bit different route here in terms of their franchise and actually get a real, true mobile quarterback in Anthony Richardson and see how that works out for him. I'm not sure if that's what Jim Irsay wants. I don't know. I don't know him personally. I'm just saying it'd be interesting. Now, I'm hearing more and more that the Houston Texans are not in love with any quarterbacks outside of really Bryce Young potentially, and they might pass on a quarterback at number 2. Now, I'm not buying this entirely yet. I think they're kind of trying to maybe dissuade the Panthers from taking Young or something like that. I just can't see how the Texans do not take a quarterback at number 2 here. It's just a standard. Even if they don't love, you would really have to dislike the other 3 quarterbacks. So you'd have to me, dislike Stroud, dislike Richardson, and dislike Levis in order for you to pass on all 3 for Will Anderson. Will Anderson is good and maybe even a very good prospect, but I don't think he's a generational pass rusher at all. I think the only generational player really right now is Jalen Carter and maybe Devon Witherspoon, and then depending what you feel about the quarterbacks. So I think it's crazy. I think Stroud is just as good as a prospect as Anderson, to be honest with you. Maybe Anderson, I think he's better, honestly, than a better prospect than Will Anderson, and that's just my opinion. Not many people share that opinion. So I think they're crazy. So I still think I'm having them taking Stroud here. I just can't buy it. It's just such a risk because, you're talking about, maybe there's going to be a quarterback you can take at number 12, or then maybe you just take Will Anderson number 2, then you move up from number 12 to, let's say, number 6 or number 7, and then you take Will Levis or you take Anthony Richardson, whoever might fall. Sure, but what a strategy. Or maybe you're just going to say, you know what, let's just take one next year. Let's go into the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. Okay, but wow. Are you guys really gonna tank for a whole nother year? That's kind of crazy. Even for the Houston Texans, that's kind of crazy. They've legitimately tanked for the last 2 seasons to be really, if not the worst, one of the worst teams in the league. And to me, this year, they wanted to be the worst team in the league. And they almost succeeded. They should have succeeded. They were this close to succeeding. And maybe they should have, been a little, tougher with Lovie Smith and telling them to lose the final game. That way they would have got the quarterback they wanted. So I just can't see them passing on a quarterback number 2 and potentially having to wait till next year, getting to the Caleb Williams sweepstakes for next year. It's just insanity. How much, hell can you put your fan base through? I mean, seriously, before everyone just bails ship. I mean, this would be bad if the Texans did not take a quarterback, so I just can't see it. I have to have the Texans taking Stroud. So I have the Panthers taking Young, though, number 1 overall. Seems like the tides have turned back to Bryce Young being the number 1 overall pick, and as he should be. He's the best quarterback prospect to me, just barely over a CJ Stroud, but to me, the tape does not lie. I've seen Bryce Young do special things when under pressure, when under duress, and that's what I like to see from Young. Yes, I know that he's undersized. Yes, I know that's a concern, but seeing him in Alabama continuously make plays, that's what gives me the belief to say that Bryce Young should go number 1 overall. So outside of that, the Cardinals take Will Anderson to be their pass rusher number 4. The Seahawks taking Jalen Carter at number 5. I think they'd be able to coach him up, and they have a needed defensive tackle. The Lions taking Devon Witherspoon at number 6. They just traded away Jeffrey Okudah, and I'm not really sure Jeffrey Okudah was even in their plans to start this year, to be honest with you. I think that's why they felt comfortable trading him. But now they definitely need a cornerback, and I mean, they're not going to be thrilled with taking another quarterback in the top 6, but maybe this one is going to work out in Devon Witherspoon. It would be Witherspoon or Gonzalez to me. I'd be very surprised if they took an edge here in Tyree Wilson, or if Will Anderson falls. I'd be surprised, but I've also seen worse. Maybe Jalen Carter if he's available. We'll see about that. So the Raiders, I struggled a little bit. I have Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon going to the Raiders. I mean, I still think they have a need at corner. I could have easily went Tyree Wilson here, but I mean, Max Crosby is still one of the better pass rushers in the league. Chandler Jones is on the decline, and he struggled last year. But I think they also drafted some other pass rushers last year in the mid-rounds, and I feel like cornerback is more of a need. So I went with Gonzalez here, but easily in my next draft, I could go Tyree Wilson. I feel like he can go either way. Speaking of Tyree Wilson, I have him going number 8 to the Falcons. And yes, they drafted a couple defensive ends with their day 2 picks last year. Neither of them really impressed at all. So I think Tyree Wilson's very much on the board. He'd probably be number 1 on their board here at this point. So I have Tyree Wilson going number 8 to the Falcons. Chicago Bears, Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State. This is continuing to be mocked. This is continuing to be rumored. It appears as if the Bears have set their sights on Paris Johnson Jr. If he's available, I'd be surprised if he's not the pick at this point. I think they want him to play right tackle and help to solidify that offensive line, or even him to play left tackle, and then they move Braxton Jones over to the right tackle position. Eagles fans. So I've had Eagles fans tell me there's no way we're taking Bijan Robinson. We're not going to take Bijan Robinson. Stop mocking us to take Bijan Robinson. So I mocked you guys to take Bijan Robinson. Look, here's the thing. And this is a very good testament to the Eagles and why I might pick them to win the Super Bowl next year. Y'all's roster is pretty damn stacked at this point. It is very stacked. And when I look at it, there's 2 positions that I'm just like, okay, you guys obviously need this. For me, one is running back because Kenneth Gainwell is only okay in my opinion, and the other is inside linebacker. Outside of that, there's not much. Now, could it be Peter Skoronski? People think it's going to be Peter Skoronski. People are arguing it's going to be Peter Skoronski. Very well could be. However, I mean, considering the fact you guys took that guard, wasn't it last year? I don't know why you'd feel so pressed to take Peter Skoronski here, other than just continuing to stack that offensive line. But the offensive line is still quite strong. I mean, Howard Roseman has a history of taking offensive linemen anyway. But yeah, you guys took Landon Dickerson actually now 2 years ago, and he's been playing well at guard. You took the center Cam Jurgens last year. He's expected to compete at right guard as Jason Kelsey's still there. It just seems like it seems like a little much, even though Kelsey's on the decline in terms of his age and he might retire soon, and we're expecting that and anticipating that. I just couldn't quite do it. It certainly could happen. I wouldn't be shocked, but I went Bijan. I think it makes too much sense. I know you don't want to take running backs in the top 10. I know. but it just makes too much sense. And look, Bijan Robinson is truly a tier 1 prospect in this draft. I think it makes too much sense, and that's ultimately why I mocked it here. Number 11 for the Tennessee Titans, I have them taking Peter Skoronski, the offensive lineman out of Northwestern. So for the Titans, is Skoronski a guard? Well, people are saying, and I do believe this, he has elite traits at guard. You got Andre Dillon in free agency, you try Dillon at left tackle, you try Skoronski at guard. I know Titans fans are going to be thrilled with taking a guard in the first round. How boring. Assuming he comes in here and he plays like Quentin Nelson or Zach Martin, who cares? It's going to be really helpful in the long run. You won't really like it now, but in the long run. Again, that's why my Titans mock, if you haven't watched it, by the way, go ahead and watch my Titans mock from last week. That's why I had them taking Jackson Smith and Jigba, because, that to me is a little more preferential than Skoronski at this point. But Skoronski's still on the table, which is why I'm mocking it here. So just in case they were to take Skoronski, I'm mocking it here. Also, Broderick Jones is on the table. Darnell Wright is on the table. My only thing with mocking a Darnell Wright, and it's possible. He's been rising up draft boards lately, and it's something to look out for. My problem is, are we already that committed to moving Nicholas Petit-Frere to guard? I mean, it sounds fine. He's played tackle his entire collegiate career and into the NFL. I mean, does he have traits of a guard? I mean, maybe. He's 6'6", 315, though. I mean, he's kind of built like a tackle. I think you can continue to play him at tackle. So I think it's kind of abandoning the plan for Nicholas Petit-Frere if you take a Darnell Wright, who's not a guard. And then you're going to have to move Nicholas Petit-Frere to guard. So it's just like, I don't know about that. It would be interesting. Also, as Andre Bunny said in the chat, yes, Darnell Wright can play left tackle. Now, he's projecting to be probably a right tackle, but he could be left tackle. So then you'd be moving Andre Dillon into guard. And I'd feel much more comfortable with that. I'd rather have Andre Dillon in a guard than Nicholas Petit-Frere. I want Petit-Frere to continue to develop a tackle. He's been one of the highly touted tackles coming out of high school, in college, and then he probably should have said another year in college, but still, I want to keep him at tackle for now. I don't want to give up on Petit-Frere, our tackle, just yet. So it's possible. I might mock it in my next mock, but in this mock, I have Peter Skoronski. All right, Texans, Jackson for the Jigba. Darnell Wright goes to the Jets. Patriots, I'm taking Broderick Jones. This might surprise some Patriots fans, but I think this is on the table. Packer fans, I have you guys taking Dalton Kincaid, the tight end out of Utah. The tight end is still a position of need. Kincaid continues to rise up draft boards as he has way more potential than Michael Mayer and even Darnell Washington. And I think he's going to go higher than people are expecting. So I have Dalton Kincaid going there. Outside of that, the significant picks, let's just talk about the significant picks. I have Will Levis going 19 to the Bucks. I mean, they don't really have a long-term play. I mean, they want Kyle Trask to compete. They're saying that they think Kyle Trask can compete at the quarterback position. I mean, I don't know if they're really buying that. But they can just take Levis and then have Levis versus Baker versus Kyle Trask, and they're all probably going to be bad, but they can figure out which quarterback is for them. I have Nolan Smith going to the Seahawks at 20 to help solidify that defense. I have Kalijah Cansey going to the Chargers at 21, hopefully making up for the mistake that Jerry Tillery was a couple years ago. I have Quentin Johnston, the wide receiver out of TCU, falling all the way down at 23. This might surprise some of you, but in the middle of the mock, I just don't see many teams that need a wide receiver. Like maybe the Packers will take a wide receiver again. I doubt it. He doesn't really fit with the Commanders and what they're doing right now. Same with the Steelers and their wide receivers. Lions are still waiting on Jameson Williams. Bucks, maybe. I could see it. But I doubt it. Seahawks, no, not with Metcalf and Lockett and how they play. Can't see it with the Chargers, not yet. They're still holding on to Keenan Allen. Can't see it with the Ravens just signing Odell Beckham. So he falls all the way down at 23 to the Vikings, and he could fall even farther than this. Outside of that, Zay Flowers, he goes 25 to the Giants. If Quentin Johnston doesn't go to the Vikings, he should go here. Unless if the Giants like Zay Flowers more, which is very possible. But we all know the Giants need a wide receiver. So I think he would be a nice fit for them. Cowboys take Michael Mayer. I have them taking Dalton Kincaid in my last mock. I have them taking Michael Mayer in this mock. I know Cowboy fans may not be in love with taking a tight end, but you need a tight end. Okay, Dalton Schultz. The situation with that, I think right now you guys would be in need of a tight end, so I have you guys taking Michael Mayer here. Jordan Addison surprisingly goes to the Buffalo Bills. Now, this is going to surprise some people, but I mean, you look at last year, you look at what happened with their wide receiver position outside of Gabriel Davis, who they expected more from. They really didn't get great wide receiver production outside of Stephon Diggs as well. I mean, and Gabriel Davis wasn't great, so they still need a solid number 3, maybe even number 2 if Gabriel Davis can ever be consistent. So this made sense to me. Darnell Washington goes 28 to the Bengals. I like that fit for them. Right now they're supposed to start Irv Smith, who can never catch on for the Vikings. That's not a good plan. And then I have Drew Sanders surprisingly going to the Eagles. Again, they could use a linebacker. He's more of like an in and outside linebacker, but I think he'd be a good fit for them. So with that said, that's going to do it. That is my updated mock. I should have, like I said, a mock next week for my 2-round mock. If I don't, then there's only going to be 1 mock left because this is 2 weeks before the draft, so I'll do 1 week before, and then I'll do 1 the week of, and then that'll be my final mock, and then that'll be it. But I'll keep you guys updated on all of that. Until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out. See you all later.